The WBC is back, and that may be the second take I said that because the first take I totally messed up. And this tournament will be bigger. It'll be better than it was in 2023. Which country do you have winning it all in this year's WBC? Let us know in the comments. Like, subscribe for all baseball here at Rally Cap. Parker, I know you're a WBC guy. You live this stuff. You must be just pumped.
WBC, this maybe is like the best time for me as a WBC fan because I'm really hoping that it gets a lot more traction than it did last year. And look, last WBC, I'm probably going to say last year a lot. I'm going to be referring to 3 years ago. The last WBC, there was a lot of grumping and growling about, oh, games don't matter. And then we saw how much they do matter to the fans of every other country besides the United States. And then we saw how fun it was to see the USA go up against Japan and Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani. Trey Turner's Grand Slam is maybe my favorite live watching baseball moment of all time. So big WBC guy. And on the heels of the U.S. hockey success at the Olympics, I think Team USA is just such a buzz right now that I'm super excited. I can't wait for WBC.
All right. So admittingly, Parker, I also do love the WBC, probably not as much as you, to be fair, but it always is something because it's 3 years separated. I always have to like reorient myself when we get back to WBC time because I'm always like, wait a second. Okay, what did they change from last time? What's this pool? What's the special rules here? And we're not going to get into all the special stuff, but we're going to paint just a picture of what to expect in about a week's time when these games begin to count in the tournament and innings matter. So the way that I guess we'll start with this, Parker, is for those that maybe are not familiar with the WBC, it is a 20-team tournament, okay? And there are 4 pools of 5 teams. And the way that this works is basically like an NCAA bracket. The top 2 teams from each pool advance to a quarterfinal, then you got a semifinal, then you have obviously the final championship series. So the quarterfinals are in Houston and Miami, and oftentimes the later you get in the tournament, they start to play these games in a central location, in this case Houston and Miami, and that is March 13th to 14th. So this whole tournament really wraps up by the middle of March. It always surprises me, Parker, how quickly this thing actually goes.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's very quick. We're playing games back to back to back. It's like spring training, but the guys are playing the whole game kind of thing in terms of the players' workup. And so, yeah, a bunch of these guys are going to be pretty tired. I mean, you think about, I remember the last WBC was also the year that the Red Sox signed Masataka Yoshida. Masataka Yoshida had a case for like the MVP of that tournament. So I was all fired up about him, but he had to fly. He met up with Red Sox personnel in USA. Flew back out to Tokyo to go play his pool for WBC. Then the Japanese team flies back to Tokyo or back to the United States to go play in Miami all the way up until the finals. He flies back to Tokyo and then back for spring training. And when Alex Cora said his first quote as a member of the Red Sox, like at spring training, was "I'm tired." And you know, we saw him have a really good first half of the season and then tail off towards the end of the year. So this is going to be like playoff atmosphere baseball. There's a lot of players that are in these games that have talked about how winning this tournament means more to them than winning a World Series. So get ready for some really interesting baseball. Get ready for some really playoff atmosphere baseball.
For sure. Those 4 pools that we're talking about, Parker, each of them start the tournament in a different location. So Pool A is in San Juan, Puerto Rico, Pool B, Houston, Pool C, Tokyo, Japan, Pool D in Miami. And like I said, the deeper we get, the more that those locations start to converge, in this case, in the USA. So what I want to do is, why don't we go through each of the pools, and I'll kind of list off the teams that are in that pool and throw around some kind of just some things that we're thinking about this pool, and then we'll make predictions at the end. And we'll start with Pool A. So Pool A is the pool that is San Juan, Puerto Rico. Of course, included in that pool is the Puerto Rico team, along with Panama, Cuba, Colombia, and then joining all those other Central South American teams, of course, is Canada for some reason. So, so tell me, Parker, what do you make of this kind of this group of teams here?
I mean, every single pool has its like powerhouse club. Every single
Yeah.
pool has its headliner club, if not two of them. And in this pool, it's going to be Puerto Rico and Cuba, most likely.
Mhm.
Cuba has a hard time with representation in the WBC, specifically because they have so many players that are Cuban that refuse to play for Cuba because they're defectors. And we actually had a couple people defect from Cuba via the WBC. I would not be surprised if we see it again this year.
Yeah.
And Cuba normally overplays the names on their roster because those guys are just so genuinely good at the game of baseball. But I think that I don't know. Are we making predictions yet for each pool?
At the end.
Okay. Well, Puerto Rico is definitely the team to watch here.
Yeah.
You don't want to miss a single game. Edwin Diaz is 39-year-old, maybe one of the best closers. Or excuse me, not 39-year-old. Where's number 39? Maybe one of the best closers in baseball. Just signed a contract with the Los Angeles Dodgers. He's the closer for this team. Seth Lugo is going to be pitching for this team, which is super cool. Guys like Martin Maldonado and Christian Vasquez are on Team Puerto Rico. Nolan Arenado, by the way. Nolan Arenado, who was on Team USA last WBC, playing for Puerto Rico this year. Very,
Mhm.
very exciting roster for Team Puerto Rico, and they're looking to make a statement when the last few WBCs have kind of been a bit of a disappointment for them.
Yeah, I think this is a team that they are really desperate to come back into WBC prominence. They've had
Mm-hmm.
some really great games, really great performers. Um, However, we'll talk about the teams that continue to overshadow them here shortly. Now, one of the things I love about the WBC, Parker, is number one, I love going through these rosters and going, oh shoot, that guy retired 5 years ago and he's playing here again. Or you
Gio
have the
Urshela is
guys that are
playing for Venezuela or for Colombia, dude.
right, right. And we're going to talk a little bit more about kind of like weird players that pop into these teams. You're like, holy crap, didn't even think about him. But let's not forget, as we're talking through this, it's an amalgamation of MLB ball players, obviously MPB ball players from Japan,
Mm-hmm.
or KBO from Korea. But then you have like you go to Pool B, the Pool B in Houston, and you have teams like Italy, Great Britain, Brazil. Who's on these teams, Parker? The plumber you know down the street, the accountant
Yeah.
in the office. It's like random. It's like average Joe team. It's crazy.
First of all, Jazz Chisholm's on Great Britain.
Okay,
And
so
he's
the
going to
plumber
go
and jazz.
50-50 this season if you listen to him.
Oh, get the hell out of here.
I'm very curious as to who's on Brazil's roster. I bet you there's always like one or two guys that you're like, no fucking way. Like,
Right, right.
dude, first of all, case in point, guess who the first name to jump out at me is on Team Brazil? Dante Bichette Jr. Not Bo
Really?
Bichette.
Oh my
Dante
goodness.
Bichette Jr., dude.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, man. This is pretty
Come
cool.
on. Like, this is the stuff I'm talking about. Like, I encourage everybody after you watch this video, because right now this video is the most important thing in your life. After this video, go to MLB or go to the World Baseball Classic site. It's MLB.com. You can go to find World Baseball Classic. Go through all the rosters. You will have so much fun and spend more time on this page than you would like to admit. It is awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. Vinny Pasquantino's on Team Italy. I mean, of course, right?
Also,
That's going to be
my my guy, Kyle Teal on Team Italy, baby.
okay. So hold on. Team Italy's kind of interesting. There's actually a lot
Yeah.
of guys here because, like I said, Vinny P, like you said, Kyle Teal, Adam Ottavino, Aaron Nola, Greg Weissert. Big leaguers,
Ooh.
man. John
Yeah.
Birdie, my guy, John Birdie.
Oh man. I
Jack
know he's one of your faves.
Caglione. Jack
Ooh.
Caglione. So, guess
Also
who the manager for
managed
Team Italy is? Yeah,
Francisco. I was just gonna say
Francisco
that.
Cervelli,
Francisco
dude.
Cervelli. That was like literally the thing I was gonna say.
That's so cool. And Dave Righetti is the pitching coach. That's super sick.
Also, assistant hitting coach, Jorge Posada.
No way. That's so cool, man.
And so
I'm really
that's
happy
actually
Roman Anthony's not on this team.
oh, don't worry. He's on another really good team we'll talk about. But what I love about this too, Parker, is you go to look at the coaching staff and you have like some of these coaching staffs are just legends on legends. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, let's focus on Pool B here for a moment. The one that's going to play in Houston, like I said, Brazil, Great Britain, Italy, Mexico, USA. Let's just call it what it is. This is USA's pool, and the USA team will dominate this pool. Am I right?
Unless Mexico has something to say about it, man. I don't know. Mexico always overperforms, I think, in this tournament. I mean, look at their roster. The roster's pretty good. Alejandro Kirk's catching. We got Joey Meneses, Jonathan Aranda, Nick Gonzalez, Joey Ortiz, Randy Arozarena, Jaron Duran. Like, there are a lot
Mhm.
of really good names um, on this team. So Mexico always, I won't say overperforms like I just did a second ago, but they definitely have something to say.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I'm with you there, and I want to circle back on that when we get to our predictions. But for Pool B, let's focus in on the U.S. team for a second here, because Parker, I always feel when it comes to WBC, and you're looking at a week and a half of games tops, games that are happening in the middle of spring training when you have players that are worried about workloads and injuries and all of that as they prep for a season. The pitchers, it's a really sensitive topic for pitchers. And definitely this year, where you have guys like Tarek Skubal coming out and saying, yeah, I'm only going to pitch one game. Paul Skeens, Logan Webb, they've already committed to pitching two. But in the WBC, Parker, pitching one game is pitching in the pool games. So in the case of Tarek Skubal, who you love to help them win a championship, he's really not even going to be pitching in a semifinal, quarterfinal,
No, he's going to
semifinal game.
pitch like
So
the second game of the tournament against Great Britain.
right. So Parker, people are giving him a lot of shit about this, and I think that's totally wrong for a variety of reasons. I suspect you feel the same way.
I did initially. I'm starting to come down on the other side of it, man. I know how much money he's got to lose, but like, I think, like I alluded to at the beginning, I was so fired up watching Team USA hockey, a sport where physically you do have like so much more to lose on a moment to moment basis physically. Like you could
Mhm.
genuinely snap your femur playing hockey at any given time. I know Tarek Skubal maybe does stand to lose more than the entire United States hockey team combined in terms of money if he does get himself hurt. But one thing I would like to always think about when I think about this tournament is Lance Lynn. Lance Lynn always said when he was about to pitch in the WBC, he's famously quoted saying, if I'm going to blow my arm out, I'm going to blow it out in March, regardless of whether it's on a spring training mound or on a WBC mound. Because if I'm pitching against big league hitters, professional hitters, I'm going to be pitching the same way. There is no such thing as going easy. Like I'm going to be full force. So might as
Yeah.
well do it with Team USA on my chest. And I love that sentiment so much. I know it's kind of like a pipe dream's the wrong word, but like it's kind of like a euphoric way of looking at everything and trying to make everything bigger than it is in the WBC. I just really want this tournament to matter so much for the Team USA more than it does, and it's hard for it to feel that way when Tarek Skubal and Paul Skeens and Logan Webb have already said we're gonna kind of barely contribute.
I love this because this is where like your patriotism is leading this conversation for sure.
Yes,
Whereas I'm tend to be the more practical business side of this. That's
yes,
like, hey, this makes total sense. Like, of course, Tarek Skubal won't want to do that. He's in a contract year. They have playoff aspirations. They need this guy in 2026 because at the end of the day, as great as it would be, and we all want the U.S. team to kick ass and win this championship, at the end of the day, I guarantee you Tarek Skubal is going to want to win a World Series even more. And that is part of this calculation. And I think, and this is what always makes this tournament so interesting, Parker, is do these guys care about it? Hell yeah, they care about it. Like these guys really
mm-hmm.
talk this up and they're pumped. But I think there is this level of like having to take a step back and see it within the context of these guys' careers and what the broader goal is. And I think it's almost like a kid in a candy store. You're like, oh man, this is so cool. Sour Patch Kids. This is so cool. I need to be able to go ahead and do this. This is awesome. I want to, support my country. And then it's like, oh, wait a second. Hold on. Think about this holistically
Yeah.
in the context of which I'm doing this.
So one thing I do want to point out, between 2 starts by Logan Webb, 2 starts by Paul Skeens, and 1 start by Tarek Skubal, that's 5 starts. I think the tournament's like 4 games in pools because it's a round robin, and
Yeah,
then like 3 or 4 playoff games, if I'm not mistaken, in the knockout round. So it's a
that
maximum
sounds
of
right.
like 8 games. That's 5 starts that you've got covered right there by Skeens, Webb, and Skubal. So that's pretty good. And then I'd like to point out that there are plenty of other starting pitchers that definitely can take the ball, that are more than capable of winning
Yes.
some ball games. Michael Wacha's on this team. Joe Ryan's on this team. Clay Holmes is on this team. And maybe my favorite potential story for this entire tournament for Team
Ye-
USA, Clayton Kershaw, the
Heck yeah,
big
baby.
lefty, is on this team, and he is not burdened by an upcoming MLB season. He is not burdened by he could leave his elbow on the rubber at the end of this tournament and live his life just the same at the end of it, because he's already retired from Major League Baseball. He could go leave his entire soul out on that field. And you know what? I think that's the kind of guy Clayton Kershaw is. He doesn't really do anything unless he's going to leave his soul out there on the field. So I would not be
Yep.
surprised if we see some like vintage Nate Eovaldi, Munetaka Murakami, not Munetaka Murakami, Yoshinobu Yamamoto, like late
Yeah.
inning relief appearances that really have a lot of weight behind them. And I'd love to see Clayton Kershaw just go out there and get rid of all the big moment, like crap
Totally.
he's had to deal with throughout his entire career. And really just, if he could win, be the guy on the mound to win another WBC for the USA, that would just, everybody would remember that as he rides off into the sunset. He already did it. He already rode off into the sunset, winning the World Series twice in a row.
Yes.
Let's do it at the
It's
WBC.
just, it's crazy to me. Like, I know we're going to talk about this again, so I won't spend too much time on it. But the things we talk about a first ballot Hall of Famer, like, dude,
Yeah.
like the guy, it's just crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah.
People think this stuff about him. Anyway, before we move on to the next pool, I just want to point out, and it's going to come up again when we make predictions. This USA roster is freaking like real life MLB The Show Diamond Dynasty. This is
It is.
crazy.
This is nuts. Like, we didn't even, dude, we've been probably, what, 10 minutes already on Team USA? Haven't even mentioned the lineup. The backup catcher for this team is Will Smith. That's the backup.
Yep.
And the
Yep.
infield looks incredible. Bregman, Ernie Clement, Goldschmidt, Bryce Harper, Gunnar, Bryce Terang, Bobby Witt. Like, where? How do you have Bobby Witt and Gunnar on the same team? Where are they going to play? Like,
I don't know. It's crazy. Like, and this is what this makes this tournament so fun. You have Will Smith on the US team as the backup catcher, whereas you have these other teams where you could actually put actor Will Smith in the catcher role, and it's basically what you have on these other teams. It's ridiculous.
No, 100%. And then the coaching staff is just absolutely star-studded. Love me, Mark DeRosa. I really hope he
Ugh.
manages this iteration of Team USA and does actually get himself a full big league managing job somewhere, because he's such a
Yeah.
good motivator of men. He's such a good leader. Everybody raves about him. And then I love to see the rest of these guys get in there and get some time coaching. Michael Young, Matt Holliday's the hitting coach. Sean Casey's also a hitting coach. Brian McCann's going to be an assisting and catching, and I'm sure a bullpen coach of some sort. And then Andy Pettit's a pitching coach. So David Ross is also a bullpen coach. Like, there's just like you said, these coaches are like star studded.
For sure. This is going to be fun watching this US team. Mind you, players that I don't even think you mentioned, maybe you did because I was distracted by all the big names. Aaron Judge, Pete Armstrong, Kyle Schwarber. Like, guys, what are we talking about? Like, what?
Yeah.
we
Byron Buxton
doing?
and Roman Anthony didn't get screen time in this preview. Like,
Oh
this
my-
lineup is easily, I think, the best lineup. Hitters. I think the hitters are the best hitters in the tournament. I think we can say that.
Wow. Yeah, that'll be good. That'll be really good. Okay, pool C, Tokyo. So for the Tokyo pool C, we have Australia, Chinese Taipei, Czech Republic, Japan, and Korea. It's kind of a no-brainer here, Parker. The two teams leading the pack here, most likely going to be Japan and Korea.
Yeah, the two teams with the closest to Major League Baseball level professional baseball circuit, Korea and Japan. Fun fact. Both of those, I mean, the NPB in Japan and then the KBO in Korea. Watched a lot of KBO during COVID. I don't know about anybody else. And it's going to be awesome. They're going to be super fun to watch. If you like high rivalry and like intense playoff atmosphere baseball, if you want to see the Tokyo Dome literally shake itself to its foundation, go watch the Korea Japan game. It is going to be super awesome. The famously, like the only time Ichiro ever showed any other emotion besides pure joy is during a Japan Korea baseball game. So go watch
Man,
that. It's going to be super 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 cool.
I'm always fascinated by like the Japanese baseball culture in particular, and I don't know that American baseball fans, and I don't want to mean, I don't want to be too general here and paint a broad picture, but I feel like more American baseball fans should really research and look into the Japanese baseball culture because I
Mm-hmm.
I would make an argument, Parker, a strong one, I think, that they are so committed to their craft. If you were to go and study these baseball players in Japan, these are guys that wake up at 5, 6 in the morning, go
Mm-hmm.
practice, go do their studies, and they come back in the afternoon and will practice till 6 or 7 at night. And this is a daily thing for them. It is a religious experience, and it shows in the way that they play the game and the way the fans come out and support these teams. It is it is a cultural phenomenon, I think.
There, I mean, I think a lot of people are very aware of the high school tournament. Uh, I
Yeah.
forget what it's called, but it's every single high school in Japan participates in this tournament and they play. And then like you'll see starting pitchers throw like 160, 200 pitches, and then 2 days later go out and do it again. Baseball, I think definitively we can say baseball means more to the country of Japan than it currently does to the country of the United States of America. Baseball is
Yeah.
everything to these guys, at least the guys who do play it. Um, and this Japanese lineup, I mean, the lineup looks great. The
Oh,
rotation
yeah.
is going to be absolutely insane. We don't even have Roki, by the way. Roki's not even in
No.
this rotation, and I'm saying that. Headed up, of course, by Yoshinobu Yamamoto. We've got Tomoyuki Sagano in there, Yuki Matsui, Yusei Kikuchi, and like, okay, if you had a big league ball club that was Yoshinobu Yamamoto, Tomoyuki Sagano, Yusei Kikuchi, and Yuki Matsui, if you had a rotation that was like that, you would probably be like, like, I don't know about all this. But when we talk about playing against the people that we're going to be playing against, again, this is not, you're not going up against the NL All Star team. You're going
Right.
against plumbers. Like, you're
Yeah.
going against guys who play this as their secondary profession. And so this is a more than serviceable rotation. I'm sure when Japan makes it to the championship game, we will probably see Yamamoto on the mound, and we know that he's up to the task. Murataka Murakami making a return to the lineup. Masataka Yoshida making a return to the lineup. Seiya Suzuki is going to be in the lineup. Shohei Ohtani decided he was not going to pitch, but he will
Yes.
be hitting.
And I'll take Shohei Ohtani in literally any form. He can serve water, and I'll feel better about this team winning,
Yeah.
at this point. Um, really good stuff out of Pool C. We'll get more to that in a second when we make some predictions. Last Pool D, playing out of Miami, we have Dominican Republic, Israel, Netherlands. Apparently, they play baseball up there. Nicaragua and Venezuela. What is happening here?
I will say that the Israel team maybe the most interesting amalgamation of players. Brad Osmus is managing. Kevin Youkilis is the bench coach, by the way.
Wow. How
Um,
about that? White Sox
yeah,
legend, by the way.
White Sox legend Kevin Youkilis, the Greek god of walks. Pitching's a little tough on this team. CJ and Garrett Stubbs both catching for this team. Yeah, I don't know how much. I just think that the coaches are cool. But the Dominican Republic is where the real juice comes from this, because Sandy Alcantara's on this team, Brian Bayo's on this team. They are going to make a very serious case for themselves out of their pool, contending for the actual overall WBC championship. There's plenty of firepower in this lineup. This is maybe the closest lineup, I think, offensively to the United States. And on their best day, they could be better than the United States. Notably, Austin Wells playing for the Dominican Republic.
Man, there are these players that every time this tournament happens, you look at what team they choose to play for, and you're like, huh. It's like their mom or their dad or their
Mm-hmm.
grandparents came from a country. It could be any reason, any
Mm-hmm.
connection they'll choose to play for
Yeah,
these
Aroldis
countries. Now,
Chapman and the obvious Great Britain uh, roots that he has.
you mean
That
Jazz
was
Chisholm?
denied, but it is funny.
Well,
Jazz
no,
Chisholm.
Aroldis Chap, yeah, Jazz Chisholm, yeah.
So
So
Jazz Chisholm is because he's from the Bahamas, which Britain, the Bahamas,
yeah,
that's a whole thing.
correct.
So yeah,
Wow.
okay.
Well, let's not turn this into a history pod as much as I would love that. All right. All right. So before we jump into predictions, here's what we're looking at as we do these predictions. Couple things to keep in mind. Number one, we talked about the just stellar Team US lineup this year and rotation and how they're going to utilize their pitching management. We really need to pay attention to, can Japan defend their crown? They did win this tournament in 23. They'll be looking as strong as ever in 26. And we're going to have to kind of keep our eye on which teams are disruptors, because here's the interesting thing about this whole tournament is there's so little games, which means so little innings. And Parker, all it takes is one inning in a tournament like this to flip it on its head.
Yeah, you could be winning by 6 runs and throw in one of your guys that isn't maybe even a professional baseball player to pitch. And you throw one of those guys on the mound to try to get some balls over the plate. They end up walking a couple guys, giving up a 3-run home run, changes the trajectory of your tournament. Because now you have to bring in somebody to really in relief that you wanted to use in the next game. And like you said, that one inning, even in a game you end up winning, can really, really, really change your tournament. And there are some teams, there's no way. Dude, did you look at the Netherlands roster?
No.
There's a guy in the infield section of the Netherlands roster named Didi Gregorius.
Oh, no way, Didi.
He's playing in the tournament, man. That's so freaking
Wow.
cool.
That is crazy. Wow,
Oh,
I did
man,
not
Drew
catch that.
Jones is playing for the Netherlands.
Well, because
Andrew
who's their
Jones's
manager? Andrew
Yeah.
Jones is the manager.
Newly minted Hall of Famer Andrew Jones.
Yeah. Oh man, that's I take back what I said about the Netherlands. I recant that statement. Wow. All right.
Yeah. Well, so you mentioned that we need to talk about one inning changing the tournament. And there are some teams, these, I guess, depth nations that can come up and really change the trajectory of this tournament. And I think that a couple of them are guys, teams like the Netherlands, teams like Israel, teams like Italy. I think Italy's going to ruin a couple people's tournaments. And then I mentioned them earlier, Mexico. Guys, teams like that can really go in and change the trajectory of a really big nation's tournament just by putting up 5 runs in a 6th inning that then leads to them having to spend an arm that they only get 2 appearances out of.
Sure. No, that makes perfect sense. Let's dive into it, Parker. Let's wrap this up here, talk about our predictions. Now, here's what I did. And I don't know if you want to just play off mine, but I did complete the bracket on the WBC site. I could pull it up and we could talk about the predictions I made and see if you agree or disagree.
Yeah, I love it. Let's do it.
Because I think ours are going to be quite similar if I know us well here. All right, let's go ahead and share this. I will share. First off, I will start with the pool winners, the top 2 in the pools, and then quarterfinal and semifinal. So this is what we're working with here. I went ahead and for pool A, thought Puerto Rico and Cuba will be the top 2 teams there.
Yeah.
Pool B, United States and Mexico, which kind of gets to what you and I were talking about earlier. That seems to be an easy choice in pool B.
I think so.
Pool C, Japan and Korea. Is that the obvious choice there?
Yeah, I think so.
And then it's so funny because this is not like picking the NCAA bracket, folks. This is pretty easy. If
Mhm.
you were a betting person, you kind of see how these are going to go. And then in Pool D, we have Dominican Republic and Venezuela, which I think is also kind of a no brainer there.
The only team that I could genuinely see the Netherlands putting a hurt on Venezuela. I could see
Mm,
Venezuela
mm.
kind of struggling. They do have a spectacular lineup, do Venezuela. But I could see the Netherlands if there's a team that could go out there and really scrap together a few wins. I mean, think about an outfield with Sadon Rafaela, Drew Jones, Jurickson
Yeah.
Profar. Like there's a good lineup out there for the Netherlands. And if they can get some pitching going for them, which will be a hard thing for them to do, I think
Yes.
we could definitely see something impressive. And notably, Kenley Jansen pitching for the Netherlands. Do you remember what other position he has played for the Netherlands in the WBC?
Um, was it
He was a
catcher?
catcher. Yeah, he was a catcher. And he had a couple clutch knocks.
I
Sorry, but
love
yeah,
those
so
random.
we could go
Those
with
are
Venezuela, but
yeah.
I think the Netherlands are like my dark horse team.
I love that. That's a real solid pick. I'm going to go through the next two rounds here, and then you tell me what seems off at the end. Quarterfinals, I have Cuba and the United States, and then Korea and Dominican Republic. And then the United States and Dominican Republic are meeting in the semifinal. And
I've
then for
got
the
that, yeah.
other quarterfinals, I have Mexico and Puerto Rico, Venezuela and Japan. Ultimately, the semifinal of Puerto Rico and Japan. Any thoughts on what you're seeing here?
I could definitely see Mexico upsetting Puerto Rico. Um,
I
Again,
agree. I agree with
they
that.
give me scrappy ball club vibe. Any team with Jaron Duran on it, man, like it's just they're gonna hit a ball into the gap. No, somebody's gonna play it lazily, and Jaron's gonna end up on second, and it's like that could be a run that changes everything. Um, and Mexico as a whole is a really formidable force in the game of baseball, and I don't know if Puerto Rico's got the firepower to deal with it. Probably do, but it's not a gimme for me.
Mm. No, I'm with you there. That's a great call out. I think Puerto Rico is one of those teams with a lot of variability, right? They could really surprise
Mm-hmm.
us or they could just flop, honestly. So having said that, semifinals again right there for you. And the finals, I do think we are going to see United States and Japan. And this is not me being uber patriotic and a homer, but I cannot go against this insane US lineup. And I think they do continue the streak of US wins in 2026 from a sports perspective, to be very specific, and they'll win the World Baseball Classic.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that this lineup is too dangerous to not end up at least in the finals. The final one baseball game is always really hard to predict. Um, but when I look at even with School pitching once, even with Webb and Skeens pitching twice,
Right.
dude, I'll take Joe Ryan starting the final game. Like, I'll take a bullpen that has Griffin Jacks, Clay Holmes, David Bednar, Garrett Whitlock, man, who was statistically the best reliever in the second half of the season last year. Yeah, no, I'm very high on the United States as well. I think I got them winning the whole thing as well.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Guys, we're going to be following it. I know you are too, but do us a favor. Go ahead and drop in the comments your WBC pick and tell us, is the United States going to prevail this year? Is Japan going to go ahead and defend their crown? You tell us what dark horse you expect to really perform in the WBC here in 2026.